Hello again, it's Garson, and today we're going to talk about Booming Blade, Shadow Blade, Smiting. Can we roll it all together? How big of a damage can we do with the new popular Booming Blade that's coming out with patch 8? And I have some other cool questions you guys gave me, so let's get into it. Like I said, I have the ability to Divine Smite. I've got a Shadow Blade. Let's see if Cuthbert... Are you ready, buddy? Let's see. Yeah! Oh no. I didn't even get a chance to smite him. Oh, well, here, we'll just pull Arnson over here. And we might have overtuned it. Might have made the build too strong. Whoopsies. All right, don't worry. Gale, I'm sure you're you're weaker, right? Yeah, no problem. All right, here we go. Oops. Oh, there it is. There we go. 1 HP, and let's go for a smite. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it looks like it works just fine. Looking really good. It might break your oath, though. Alright, let's load up some Elemental Cleaver, because I'm going to get right into this with you. But first, as always, we're going to bust out some notes, if you will. Bear with me. Okay, so today, our main course is Booming Smites, but we have some other questions to answer thanks to you guys dropping some questions. I know we're all chomping at the bit to play the patch. That's why I'm trying to pay it forward. It's you guys that gave me access to this, so I'm trying to show you and answer your questions. Let's dive into it, though. Some big booms later. I'll go over how to break it down, how to make it that strong. But patch 8 brings with us some other questions, too, right? So keep in mind, as always, I got to say this stuff, right? This is not... this is the live release of patch 8 stress test, but it's not finished yet, right? So top left, keep in mind this is kind of like subject to change and whatnot, okay? But I'm here to answer your questions, so when it does roll out, you'll know what you can do and whatnot. But maybe some of this has changed and maybe some of this is a bug. I don't have control over that. Let's dive into one of your questions, though. That's what I'm excited about. So first off, iLlamas, he's asked, hey, that Elemental Cleaver you showed in a video or two, can you actually see if it works with dual wielding? And I was like, dude, I totally forgot about that. Okay, so let's see if it actually works with dual wielding. Does it make both of these weapons get a little elemental damage other than Karlach's, you know, Raging Inferno here? So what I'll do is save this so we can reload it easily. And I'm going to get into a little bit of trouble by attacking because we need to enrage first. All right, pop that. Okay, and now let's get in here. So can we actually dual cleaver? Let's find out how it works. First, you got to go enraged. In the new Path of Giants, if you go to level 6 in the subclass, you can actually add some element to your weapon. Oh yeah, look at that. Now, for those who haven't paid attention, this adds the throne property and it'll return to you and you'll get 1d6 element of your choice. And look, it doesn't cost any kind of actions, but if you'll notice, it didn't exactly make both of my weapons add element. That's just Karlach's silly soul coin stuff. So what I'm gonna do, if you'll allow me, is I have to use this little mod, the cheater scroll. I'm cheating. Oh no, I'm a big cheater. So what I'm gonna do is get a bunch of actions and bonus actions. And you're gonna see already the big issue here is if you want to do both of these weapons, you're gonna have to swap, which costs a single action to reload or like re-equip things in the heat of combat. Now the caveat here is Elemental Cleaver doesn't, so you can just go with, say, cold, and voila. Yes, you can indeed dual cleaver. Look at that, pretty awesome. Okay, so the downside is it's going to be costly with actions. Maybe Larian can make it really cool that you can apply both, you know, to both elements at the same time. But even if not, it's cool as hell, and it is still achievable. So let's see what happens if I have a bunch of actions. I want to give you a little notation here on how to do this. So if you don't know, when you have a thrown weapon that returns to you, it's going to leave your main hand and then pop back into your hand, right? But if you were already dual wielding, the offhand here, the green one, the Dragon's Grasp, is now going to become the new main hand, right? So let's see that in action. The main hand right now is the cold Ritual Axe. So Ritual Axe right here. I'm going to throw that. That's in my main hand. And now it's going to come back as the offhand because it leaves the main hand. Dragon's Grasp replaced it, and then it becomes the new offhand. Now that it is the offhand, let's do Dragon's Grasp again. Okay, it's my offhand, right? Hold on, let me just double check that. Oh no, my offhand is now Ritual Axe, right? Okay, so Ritual Axe, if I throw it, it will remain as my offhand, right? Because it didn't replace the main hand, leave me, and then swap out, okay? So I know it's a little confusing, but just remember, if you throw the offhand, it'll stay the offhand. If you throw the main hand, it will become the offhand. And that should keep things pretty simple for you, just to answer your question, all right? So it does indeed work, but it's a little costly on actions. But what about this? I can't believe this was under my nose, right? So let's actually swap to Baldurins, okay? Again, I have a lot of actions, easier for testing. What if I make this thing pop out? Here we go, because you guys asked, dude, what about Baldurins? I'm so hyped. So Sergeant Stubby said, bro, I can't wait for Baldurins Giant Sword, Giant Slayer. Maybe it'll work with Tavern Brawler as a thrown weapon now that the Cleaver does that. And I was like, bro, why didn't I test that? Okay, so let's test that right now. What you don't know, if you don't already know about Giant Slayer, it adds the the strength modifier twice. So if I have a strength modifier on my weapon attacks plus 8, it's going to add it to 16. Well, very similar to that, the whole thing here is if you take Tavern Brawler for thrown weapon attacks, it's going to do the exact same thing, 16 on thrown weapon attacks. But you got to have a thrown weapon that can come back to you, right? Thanks to Elemental Cleaver, we can light this thing on fire and do massive damage, right? So, does it indeed do double damage? Ooh, it must have. It annihilated him, right? It must have. Okay, so what I'll do is pull back the notes for you, zip it there, okay, and then let's actually look at the damage numbers. So strength modifier, what's this? It applies to the fire damage. Well, that's Tavern Brawler. That's what's going to make this the new king when it comes to throwing attacks. However, does it add Baldurins? No, it doesn't. This is the original strength modifier, and this is Tavern Brawler's strength modifier. But if it was Baldurins, we would see literally the effect from the sword, Giant Slayer, up here on the damage numbers. So once again, we have strength from Tavern Brawler, strength from the weapon attack, but no no Giant Slayer. So unfortunately, it doesn't work. But I will tell you this: it's still an amazing option, because whether you're attacking with your main hand or just throwing it, it's still going to do massive damage, and it's awesome as hell to light that thing on fire. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to move on to some Rakish Audacity with the new Rogue subclass, the Swashbuckler, because I had a really good question here. Check it out. All right, so let's do Rakish Shotgun. And this comes from, we load this, here we go. So KRCO, he says, does the new Rakish Audacity. It's the new way you can apply sneak attack as the Swashbuckler. Does that apply with the Crossbow Expert and a ranged sneak attack? Well, let's find out. So I'm going to put out the notes real quick and I'll explain what we got here. Go. All right, so does Rakish Audacity work with the Crossbow Expert? So let me put this away real quick. There we go. I got the notes out for you. You can see it yourself. What he's talking about is if you take Crossbow Expert, you'll lose the disadvantage that you normally get when you're ranged and up close. If I take out a bow, right? I have disadvantage on this guy. And if you have disadvantage, even with the new Rakish Audacity, you just need someone alone, 7 feet, no one near them, right? You can get a sneak attack. Oh, but wait, I can't because I have disadvantage. So if I walk away and I meet the conditions, as long as I don't have disadvantage, I should be able to sneak attack, right? Well, the cool thing about Crossbow Expert is if you have this feat, what happens is you can now shoot at point blank without the disadvantage on your crossbow attacks. Point in case, or case in point. See, now I don't have disadvantage, so I should be able to get a nice sneak attack against this guy. So what I'm going to do is save, because I will have some other cool stuff to show you. So if we do this right now, I can definitely use a sneak attack, just like you were asking, right? Now, I know this might scare you, but there's some weird bug. I don't think it's new. If you start a turn like this, you can actually get 2 sneak attacks. Don't tell anybody. I think it's a bug. I don't know if it's patch 8 related, but let's play fair. All right, play fair on a rogue. Yeah, okay. But let me reload this. So I answered your question. Yes, in fact, Crossbow Expert will allow you to. You need, with the new Swashbuckler, the rules are you just need your target needs to be alone, and you just need to make sure you don't have disadvantage. But otherwise, yes, you're good to go, and you're able to make those sneak attacks with Crossbow Expert, point blank, shoot them in the face, right? Crossbow Expert gets rid of that disadvantage, so we're ready to go. Now, what I wanted to show you, and I'll use this opportunity, those might be curious. Okay, now that I know I could do that, do these special arcane archer shots actually add sneak attack potential to it? So check this out. So with Rakish Audacity, I can do a sneak attack so long as nobody's 7 feet near him, right? But if I set it as a reaction and use an arcane arrow, check this out. Ah, you can get your sneak attack on. Nice. Okay, so check that out. We can actually do arcane archer shots with our new Rakish Audacity sneak attack as long as we meet the conditions, right? So let's actually skip around because it's actually not as simple as that. Blinding does work. So half these arrows do and half they don't. Let me show you something for a moment. Let me get my sneak attack this round. There we go. Keep hurting. Don't hurt her. That's my girlfriend. Shadow heart. Okay. All right. So, although it does work with shadow, what is it? The blind arrow. Let's look at the piercing arrow. Piercing arrow is kind of like barrage in that you do all your weapon damage in a big area, but will this like hit and do sneak attack to everybody, or even at least one guy? So, nope, doesn't work that way. And if you don't believe me, I can do a Rakish Audacity right now. So I have the conditions, but piercing arrow doesn't work with it. Even worse than that, something like seeking arrow doesn't work either. See? Didn't get the sneak attack. So there's some arrows that do and some arrows that don't. We'll have to do further testing. It seems like the more straightforward arrows that just add an effect do indeed work. So this could be a really cool combo in and of itself. I just figured I'd kind of explain that because I was really fascinated with the idea. That's one of my inject one of my ideas for you guys. So let's get now to the main course, right? Get some booming smites on. So here's what we got, and two of you asked some questions related to this. Ready? So, first off, Domino Theorem, he said, hey, with all this said, can we smite with it? What do you think theoretically is the toughest, strongest? I think there's a lot of ways to go about this, but I think you'll learn a lot if I explain it to you. And I was very excited to show this because I've been playing around this cantrip since it was a mod, right? And I had Woder VB here say, hey, can you also show off like a Paladin Warlock? He did a 4 Paladin, 8 Warlock combo. I'm actually going to show you a 4 Warlock, 8 Paladin combo instead, okay? Either way, it should be applicable to both. But let me just show you what I mean. So check it out. There's some really cool ways to enhance Booming Blade's maximum potential. I'm not going to claim to know the best ones here, but let's make some big damage with Booming Blade, and I'll break it down for you. There's a lot of ways to do this. I think most people are going to find one of two ways. Attack a lot, like Eldritch Knight Fighter is confirmed that this will trigger War Master or War Magic, the level 7 feature where you can use your bonus action as an attack. So you can do 4 Booming Blades as an Eldritch Knight. It's a little wonky, but I think a lot of people are going to love that if you just want to keep swinging Booming Blade. Others, like myself, are going to try and find maybe an Arcane Trickster who uses Booming Blade for one big attack. And of course, something in between would look like this, where it's a Paladin that can attack a lot and hit really big, okay? So, you do not need intelligence or charisma to land this. This is basically just your regular weapon attack accuracy, and it's going to add a cantrip effect to it, allowing you to get some extra elemental damage in, okay? This is the same rule that applies to smites, so you do not need, you just need to be able to land your attack in order to do this, okay? So without further ado, like I said, charisma, intelligence, wisdom. The only reason they're here is because we're going to use it to enhance the damage of this. As long as I have a very accurate weapon attack, like 95%, it's the same thing for Booming Blade, and it's the same thing for Divine Smite. Okay, that's always the key rule to with these this Smite and Booming Blade. So if I set it to a Divine Smite to a reaction, though, I can use Divine Smite with Booming Blade for a lot of damage, like a lot of people guessed, right? But how do we use int and charisma to really max out the damage? Okay, well, for one, pick a really good weapon, like one that's pure psychic. And psychic, if you don't know, can be doubled in damage thanks to this resonance stone creating an aura of vulnerability. So that's one way to enhance the damage, right? Now we do double damage. When we add more psychic damage, it gets doubled up. And another good option, I'm not going to show it here, but just so you know that I know that you know, Harmonic Dueler is a great option because you can double piercing damage using the Ballast Armor. And furthermore, you can use Charisma with Mellow Harmony, the special ability of Harmonic Dueler. This just got a real glow up thanks to this cantrip, because this is going to add tons of damage. This is already a low-key amazing weapon for similar reasons that Shadow Blade is, but unfortunately, unlike Shadow Blade, you actually need a feat to use a weapon like Rhapsody, which really enhances this ability to do like just stupid damage. Okay, so we're gonna use Shadow Blade, but just keep in mind there's some other great options here. Rhapsody is important because what it's gonna do is actually add this 3 damage, right? So Shadow Blade, for instance, doesn't have enchantments, no +2 or +3 accuracy and damage. So this is going to be like your enchantment for your Shadow Blade. You don't need any dual wielding feat to use both of these because they're both daggers. You don't even need freaking proficiency or 2-weapon fighter since you're just trying to hit with a Shadow Blade. But this thing's amazing for a lot of builds, and in our case it's going to add accuracy, but it's also going to add 3 more psychic damage, which, you guessed it, doubles up. And even worse than that, it adds 3 more thunder damage to the cantrip. It's insane, right? Okay, so Rhapsody increases our damage by a lot, including our accuracy. Potent Robes. Potent Robes, I've been playing with this cantrip with these mods, and I knew this. I was excited with this combo. Potent Robes works exactly like I thought in the modded version. So in patch 8, if they don't adjust it, right, you're going to add your charisma modifier to cantrips damage, okay? So that would be +6 on, say, Eldritch Blast or Firebolt or Booming Blade. But it doesn't just add it to the thunder damage, it adds it to your weapon damage too. That's 12 more damage if I have a charisma modifier of 6. That's nutty. Okay, it's crazy. So the charisma modifier, if you have it raised up like on a warlock who's already using a hex weapon, right, a pact weapon, your weapon is now using charisma a ton of times, okay? Charisma, and it adds it to the weapon and thunder damage, you're getting double the gains. And here's the thing, people have been asking, well, doesn't the elemental augment? Yes, it does, except right now, currently, it doesn't. This should work the exact same way, getting the double the effect of your spellcasting modifier. This would work with Blade Singers, this would work with Eldritch Knights, but unfortunately, even though this is more general use instead of just charisma, you can use int and whatnot depending on your modifier. Unfortunately, this just doesn't work right now. I don't know if it was coded wrong, I don't know if there's an error, or they just don't want you to stack these effects, and trust me, I've mixed and matched, it just doesn't work like it's supposed to. Because if you could use both of these, this is incredibly monstrous, and we haven't even talked about smites yet, okay? So on both of these builds, Gale and Asterion, we've gone with a little bit of Paladin, or a lot of bit of Paladin, so that we can smite on reaction on top of all this crazy damage, adding Arcane Synergy, adding the Elemental Infusion. This really is some of the most optimal setup you can do in general with Booming Blade and striking a lot, okay? So without further ado, I'm actually going to show you some of this stuff by peeling back the notes and attacking. Let me get this out of the way for us. Swoop. Bear with me. Okay, so like I said, let me actually go in for an attack, and it does monstrous damage even before we have, you know, the Paladin Smites. So, that's crazy. Alright, so let's break this open real quick. Remember I said that both Rhapsody and the Potent Robes are going to add more damage multiple instances. So on the thunder damage, the 2d8 from the cantrip, its Scarlet Remittance is Rhapsody. We got 3 more damage just for having that. And we got 6 more damage from the Potent Robes, the Gregarious Caster. Here's where it gets nutty. When you can double the weapon damage, it's crazy, right? So we got, again, another 3 from Rhapsody, another 6 from Charisma, from Potent Robes, and that damage, the 9 right there, will double up. To make matters worse, I just hit a cantrip. I can now have Arcane Synergy the next time I swing this thing. So that's another 6 more damage getting doubled up to 12 more psychic damage, okay? And then this little guy, you keep swinging the cantrip, you keep getting more Thunder 1d4s on your next attack. So the damage is just out of control with this combo. If anything can survive though, you can just smite them. That's where I was going with it. Okay, so here we go again. I don't think he'll survive, but yeah. So on the next hit, we have the same thing, Rhapsody and the Potent Robes, and the Amulet of Augmentation would have added a further 6 here. That's what I'm trying to tell you, okay? The psychic damage now has, it should have, oh, Aura of Hate. That's what I forgot to mention as well. So if we go Oathbreaker, we can get the Aura of Hate for even more charisma damage, 6 more, and it doubles up to, obviously, another 12, right? And then we get Arcane Synergy on top of that. He's gonna get mad. He'll come over here. I just can't do all this damage, man. I just can't show you all the damage. Okay, we have arcane synergy. Might get in trouble. We'll see what happens. Hold on. Let's get a speed potion. Okay, now, keep in mind, we have the potent robes. We have Rhapsody. We have arcane synergy just got activated, right? We have Oathbreaker, which gives me this aura right here of more charisma damage, 6 more charisma damage. And then we have arcane synergy. Holy moly, holy moly. Okay, this guy just gets deleted. Okay, I can't even smite anymore. Okay, so the weapon damage is getting all of this 6, and then a 6, and then a 6, and then a 3, and then a 6, and it's doubled thanks to psychic damage. And a lot of that is getting more stuff from being a cantrip. It's Booming Blade. It's just ridiculous, dude. Okay. So let me bust out the notes one more time before we wrap things up. I do want to give you some alternatives here. Not everybody wants to be fighting with daggers. But if you want to use something like Baldur's Sword, I also highly recommend this. Ready? So what about Baldur's Great Sword? Well, you should go Great Weapon Fighter and Great Weapon Master, and you should go for that Cloud Elixir, and you're going to have just as good a time, if not better. And my recommendation to you is, honestly, a lot of people who want to smite, go Paladin 11. Your attacks now just innately smite with a 1d8 Radiant, and it makes all of your smites feel that much more powerful. And if you go one wizard, check this trick out. If you go one wizard, you can learn haste. Okay? So this also hurts like a truck, and you can hit a lot, and you can hit hard, okay? There we go. We still have 2 more attacks, thanks to haste. Kaboom! And I promise I will eventually smite something, but technically, I'm smiting right now, right? Technically, I'm booming smite. Alright, we need some better targets. Arnson and Cuthbert, just don't cut it. And then you can lose your oath because you're just a killer at this point. So yeah, if they can survive that, you can go ahead and slam a jamma with a reaction. I'm just kind of making a point here. Do you really need to go Paladin and Smite? Yeah, for like bosses probably, but you could already swing 3 times as a hasted Paladin. You get innate radiant damage if you go to level 11 and so on and so forth. We're using the same technology here, the potent robes, the arcane synergy, and so much more. But that's gonna wrap it up. Just, there's so many ways to make this freaking cantrip broken. Okay, so how do you level up and play these? Just come watch the streams. I'm actually doing a Shadow Blade build with Booming Blade, but I'm doing it on a Shadow Sorcerer. We're playing 4 new subclasses, no multi-classing on Honor Mode, so you can be hyped and ready when you get it in your hands, and we can see if there's any bugs along the way so we can get this patch out faster. But I like answering any of these cool questions, since if you don't have access to it, but you want to know something, let me know in the chat or comments. I'd be more than happy to show it to you, all right? You guys are my sponsors, so I appreciate you watching this far. If you got in the whole video, maybe support the channel. It's as low as it's going to be on YouTube, but really the best support is just seeing the awesome comments and chat and jumping in this stream. You guys are awesome. I'll try and make another awesome video for you tomorrow, but until then, you guys are amazing. Have a blessed one, all right?